King 9 I will defend. And when he checks back this board, I'm actually going to check. For the reason that I will have a lot of hands. This might be too strong to check, I'm going to bet. Because I do beat his weak kings that he checked back. Whereas I won't be betting this board with all my range because I don't really have that many strong kings and queens that I'm calling there. So, you know, a hand like just pocket sixes, I'm probably just going to give up there or just check fold the turn. So when I have like a weak king, I probably do want to check call there to protect that part of my range, which is, you know, if I'm not check calling there with like a weak king, then most of my check calling range can probably get barreled off, and I have to put back at that by defending, by calling down lighter, and don't really think that's a good idea if all the hands I'm checking the turn with are going to be basically in a low, like they're going to be ahead of his check back range, I'd say. A lot of the hands I'm talking about checking the turn with to check fold, and I wouldn't really be check raising the turn very often in that spot, so for similar reasons I can't really rep any strong kings, queens, and I'll be put on mainly draws. So unless you want to level your opponent and do it with just own specifically value hands, I think that would actually be a pretty good strategy until, you know, they became aware that's what you're doing. I don't really think that type of stuff is good to put in your game though, to be honest. Like, I'm really against the type of people that, or the type of play of saying, oh, I haven't 3-bet this guy in so long, so I'm just going to 3-bet him with, you know, king, or not king, but, you know, like 6-2 offsuit, or 6-2 suited, or 2-3 suited, 2-5 suited, you know, just a really crappy hands that people get like 5-10 off if they're like, oh, well, I haven't 3-bet this guy in a while, so I'm just going to 3-bet him with queen 5 offsuit. Like, it doesn't really, I don't think it's a good strategy because, you know, for one, I don't think your opponents are, most of your opponents are playing 12 tables or whatever. Like, if this guy in a spy who's playing 2 tables of 500L zoom and all these other tables, as well as, like, if we look at adage, okay, he's not showing, but I'm pretty sure he plays a bunch of tables as well. He's playing, oh, I won't have them all up here, actually. Oh, well. Just because I don't have the lobby all filtered for every table. But, yeah, I mean, most of these regulars aren't playing enough tables to notice that you haven't specifically 3-bet them in a while on that specific table, and a hand like 5-10 offsuit is going to play so poorly in a 3-bet pot. You know, unless you have a read that specific read that he folds to too many 3-bets. But even then, I'd rather just construct a range. Like, I want to 3-bet 20% of hands, so I'm going to 3-bet the top 20% of hands that I'm folding in that spot. It's a much better strategy overall. And a lot of strategies, like a lot of plans to, oh, I'm going to do this because, I can't remember the example that I used just before that started this, but, you know, there's just going to be a lot of spots where you just shouldn't be doing things, kind of unbalancing your ranges for game flow reasons a lot of the time. Like, sometimes obviously it is good if you have like a good read, but yeah, like 8-9 offsuit here, I'm going to want to be cold 4-betting a decent amount, but 8-9 offsuit's not the hand to do it with. And just because I haven't cold 4-bet this session, I've been playing relatively tight this session, I wouldn't say that now I should 3-bet 8-9. I'd rather just wait and do it with ace-5 offsuit, because, you know, then on average my cold 4-bet will be lower. And I don't want it to get out of hand by every now and then just adding some random, like, basically in this spot, if I have cold 4-bet him with 8-9 offsuit, and he decides to 5-bet jam all in with a pocket pair, he's making a lot, like a huge amount of money off me, because I'm going to fold, obviously, and he is going to, and he's shoving against the range, which is 100% at that specific time. You know, I was going to be cold, if I'm cold 4-betting 8-9 offsuit, I'm cold 4-betting 100% of my range, essentially, because if I had 5-6 offsuit, I probably would have done the same thing, you know? So I'm going to min click it back like I normally do in position with the aces here. And I'm going to call the queen 10 suited here on table 3. I like to call suited broadways in these spots. So, and I don't really do much donking, so even though this might be a good board for me to donk, I'm just going to check. I'm just going to think my range for a second. Obviously calling the aces. And then, yeah, I'm probably just going to check call this board because I don't really want to be check raising too many boards here. So, versus a cutoff open here, I think a 3-bet's pretty good with queen 10 offsuit, seeing as I'm not too happy calling with it. If it was suited, I'd call. I'm just going to check call again because it's a board that I think he's going to barrel me a decent amount on. So, I'm just going to protect the weaker hands that I want to be check calling here, like Jack 10. by check calling flop turn, and yeah, he ended up having king jack offsuit with king of hearts.